How about there's two types of trends? Hard trends and soft trends. Hard trends will happen for sure, soft trends might happen. Separating those two is really big. So let me give you an example of a soft trend. I love this one because it's such a great example. Decades ago when Elvis Presley died, for the 10 years after his death, they were keeping numbers on this, there was an increasing number of professional Elvis impersonators, more every year. The graph looked like this. So just for fun back then, I decided to take that graph and put it out into the future. And it showed that by the year 2000, 1 in 3 Americans would be professional Elvis impersonators. Doesn't look like that happened. Would anybody in their right mind use a soft trend to look at the future? Yeah, we do it all the time. Remember our government a few years ago when they were talking about a $1 trillion surplus? Some of us might remember that. The trouble is we treated that as a hard trend and spent as if it was a for sure thing. Oops. Going back to Polaroid, Kodak, they treated digital as a soft trend. Oops, that was a hard trend. See, making a mistake on that is a big deal. I don't want that to happen to you, so let's learn how to do it right now together in just a little time that we have together. Hard trends are driven by several things. Demographics is one. We got 78 million baby boomers, and guess what? They're not going to get young. They're going to get older. And we can predict a lot. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that we've got over 70% of the wealth of a nation in people that are over 55 years old. That's a lot of money. Makes sense. If you're young, you haven't saved the money yet. You don't have all the money yet. By the way, is this the only country with baby boomers? No. Europe is loaded with them, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Mexico. Actually, China is loaded with baby boomers. That one-child thing didn't work out all that good. Istanbul, no, that's a young country. Average age is upper 20s. But in most of the world that we've traveled to, it's baby boomers. We can actually see a lot of opportunity. Let's say that we're not in the business we're in. Why don't you and I start a company, gear it towards aging baby boomers? A lot of people love to fish. They love to boat. They love to go out on boats, but as they get older, it gets hard to launch the boat. It even gets hard to get in the boat. Maybe you got a grandma or grandpa or mom or dad like that right now. Why don't you and I start a business, the Easy Launch Trailer for Seniors? Would that have a built-in market that's growing and predictable every year? Well, yeah. Would you know exactly what countries to export it to and what countries not to export it to? Absolutely. And you got predictable growth rate. By the way, a very good predictable growth rate. How about you and I start a company? How about an elevator company? It only has to go up one flight and retrofits on the outside of a home or condo. Ooh, that wouldn't be bad either. Actually, we could probably start 1,000 companies right now that have a built-in market that's fully predictable and get this country going again if we just use demographics. Let's give you one more thought on demographics. We got 4 generations in the workforce all at the same time. My message right now is there's a war between the young and the old right here in this room, in our agencies, everywhere, in every company. There's a war between the young and the old, and we've got to end that war now. You see, the young people, they look at the older people in the business and they think, well, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. By the way, they're right. And the older people look at the young people and we think to themselves, gee, they don't get it. By the way, you're right. The key is both get a perfect match when we work together. It's a perfect match. Let me ask you a question. Do these kids take notes? No. Don't tell me they can't memorize. Can these kids focus? Oh, yeah, like a laser light. The reason you think they can't focus is they don't like to focus on your stuff. And by the way, when these kids are playing the game, are they playing by themselves? No, they're playing with a team. There's a difference between cooperation and collaboration. You cooperate because you have to. You collaborate because you want to. Cooperation is based on scarcity. I want my piece of the pie, and I'm going to protect and defend my piece of the pie. Collaboration is about how can we work together to make the pie bigger for all. By the way, I think that's what NetView is all about. And you might think, yeah, but we're the insurance business. That's why I'm excited about this. I love a business that understands the relationship, understands people, and the technology is there at the right time. 5 years ago, frankly, we weren't ready. Today, whoa, we are ready to do something profound in this seemingly stodgy industry that we're in. We can do something quite profound right now. Why? We're at an inflection point. I've been speaking to this industry for decades, and it was always just a slight bit frustrating because we weren't quite at the inflection point for the big deal. I'm here to tell you for the first time right now on this stage, we're in the big deal phase now, folks. We're here. We're there. The cloud, mobile, all this stuff has come together at the right price point and the right capabilities to let us do it. The only thing that's lagging is our mindset. If we can shift our mindset, we aren't going to have to worry about Geico. We're not going to have to worry about all this other stuff that's going on out there, Progressive and so on. Because relationships are still king, but technology doesn't have to dehumanize it. Actually, technology can let us humanize it more. When you put it in the hands of people that understand the human relationship, you do. So I don't want to use technology to create a cold, cruel world of insurance. No, the opposite. I want to use tools to pull us together even better. I mean, there's so many new ways of making money in this industry. I'm really excited because you're the centerpiece. You've got the human relationship. You can leverage things in ways you've never been able to leverage before because all this stuff used to be expensive and everybody, you needed it. Most people couldn't even afford it. Now we can do things, again, that used to be impossible that can bring us new revenue. Just a few more on this list. We got globalization. Let me give you a tip in here. China has not had insurance. They don't have an insurance industry. It's just starting. It's just starting. So they're going to need to establish agencies. They're going to need to establish sales teams. Somebody in this room is going to go and make a lot of money teaching them how to do it. By the way, do you think that might happen or do you think that will happen? I think it will happen. The only thing that might happen is I don't know if it's going to be you or not. See, the hard trend is it'll happen. The soft trend is I don't know who's going to do it. But somebody's going to get rich doing that one. See, there's lots of opportunity from all new places. Convergence. You can converge features and functions like an iPhone or an Android, but you can also converge industries. You know what I got to do is I got to ask myself what industries right now are converging around us that are presenting new opportunities. They're predictable convergences. Some of us, the bigger ones in here, we're thinking about, acquisitions, mergers, consolidation. Yeah, well, have you looked at the predictable industry convergence as you're thinking those strategies together? Technological change will accelerate. There's 3 drivers. I'm going to buzz through them very quickly. They've been around forever, but they're doing something now they haven't done before. Of course, you might guess I'm talking about processing power, Moore's law. Processing power doubles every 18 months as the price drops in half. Doesn't create a graph like this. It creates a graph like the one here. Of course, right now, as you can tell, we're in the big deal phase. Not only do I get a processor on my phone, but I can tap into a supercomputer in the cloud. The other ones, of course, storage. Remember the 512K modem? Remember the thing made a noise? Remember that noise? Remember that thing? I mentioned I was in Africa not long ago. I was going to go in the Bimini impenetrable forest to hike up to see the mountain gorillas, which I did, and it was very, very cool. You got to do that someday. And I was going through the worst roads in the world. I'd been out of touch because, there's no cell phone connection because there's no electricity. And all of a sudden, there was a sign with chalk that said high-speed modem that way. And I thought, great, I haven't checked my email in a long time. So I went in there. Of course, it was a 512K. I waited about 15 minutes for the first email, which still hadn't downloaded, because our emails have changed. Now I have attachments. So what do we got? The predictability of storage going like this and putting it in the cloud because we got the always on. And what else do we have? Bandwidth. So we got bandwidth, we got storage, we got processing power. Those together create the accelerators that impact everything. It takes us away from change and it moves us to a new phase of transformation. We are transforming